And we are back. Great Lakes State Football, episode 34, talking everything football in the Great Lakes State. And I'm Vince.
And I'm Kory, and the high school football playoffs are on like Donkey Kong.
And I'm Brett. I'm growing out my playoff beard.
Are you going to grow that all the way through the college football season there, Brett?
I've been growing it out since the start of baseball season. Just been nicely trimming it here and there.
Don't trim it anymore. Just let it grow wild through the football season.
Oh, it would look like a big old ball.
Whoa!
Well, we're very excited about this episode. We have a special guest on. Mr. Goosepoop, Cannon Dean, is going to be previewing the Michigan high school football playoffs here with us. So Michigan high school football playoffs starting at the end of the week this Friday for the 2022 season. He is coming on to talk about a variety of things going into the playoff season here, as well as our predictions for divisions 1 through 8 for 11-man football, our predictions for the Final Four for each division, as well as the champion. So looking forward to doing that. We are going to jump right into that and stay tuned after as we wrap the episode up. So we're going to get into the playoff preview here right now. And we're going to go ahead and segue into our somewhat of an interview portion of the podcast. We have a very familiar guest on. I think we've had Mr. Goosepoop, Cannon Dean, on, 3 times now? I think this is your 3rd time on the podcast. 3rd, and certainly not the last time. Certainly not the last time. So Cannon Dean, or AKA on Twitter and Instagram, Goosepoop, is joining us here to talk about Michigan high school football playoffs. Definitely, if you haven't already, check out our interview with him from this last summer. And then a couple weeks ago, we did a segment with him on the halfway point of the high school football season here in Michigan. So have him back on to preview the high school football playoffs. Obviously a very exciting time of year. Cannon, how you feeling going into the playoffs here with everything you've been doing this year?
Half of me is very, very, very excited for the playoffs. Half of me is just exhausted from
You're doing a lot, man. Doing a lot of work.
Especially the week 9, just making sure all of my playoff points tied out on the playoff wizard. That was it's just a lot of minutia. So it all ties out. You can go check me, but that was a lot. So yeah, they're kind of split in 2 camps right now.
I'm sure totally worth it. You got to be proud of what you've done, man. I think you do great work. A lot of people are very excited about the stuff you're putting out.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, with that, let's get into previewing the 2022 high school football playoffs. Very excited to get the playoffs rolling here in just a few short days. So the first thing we're going to kind of run through, if you haven't already subscribed to Goosepoop's newsletter on Substack, it's through Substack, I believe.
That's correct. Yep.
So I'll have the link in the description of the video and audio versions of the episode. So check out the link below if you would like to subscribe to his newsletter. He also has that on his Twitter and Instagram that you can go to his website and subscribe. In his newsletter this week, a lot of cool previewing different aspects, through the numbers, as that's kind of been the shtick that you've been putting out, is using a computer model and different kind of looking at different angles of high school football. So a couple things we want to hit with you before we end with predictions. We're going to get into Goosepoop predicting the Division 1 through 8 11-man football playoffs, and then Brett, Kory, and I will also make our predictions. First thing we kind of want to talk about, obviously, bit controversial, this new playoff format. We've talked about the playoff format here many times in our podcast. New format now with entirely based off points, a new point system, no longer by just strictly wins, where it used to be a 6-win automatic bid. Cannon, what do you think? And you obviously had this in your newsletter, but in terms of teams that were snubbed, there were some 6-win teams that did not get in. And what were your kind of thoughts on some of the teams that got in, maybe that didn't get in and did get in that maybe didn't deserve it?
Yeah, from a high level, I think the system is a vast improvement over the 6-win and in system.
So I would agree with you on that.
I'm using my computer model as the objective take of who should get in, right? So the top 32 teams on my computer model are the ones I believe should be make the playoffs each year. I think it's probably strictly the best system, or a computer model like mine is the best system. And if you look at that, there's only 39 teams who were left out. Now, 39 teams seems like a lot, but that's, it's 15% of the playoff field. And then I would add to that of those 39 teams, none of them I would rank in the top half of their division. So everybody would be seeded 17th or lower. And so, even if they were making the playoffs, they would be in the bracket was seeded properly. They would be eliminated in round one. So we're not missing any of our, put it another way. The MHSAA's playoff point formula does not have us missing any of our best teams, which I think is the most important thing. The most the team got screwed out of was playing a week 10 game. So pretty good job, I would say, overall.
Did you?
So
sorry. Go ahead, Kory.
I was just gonna say, so statistically, it matches up. You like it, but
I do.
Morally, I feel like it's just frustrating.
It is, and there's pitfalls. There really is. It's just tough when you and I don't pretend to be a coach or an athletic director trying to schedule these games, and so a lot of people saw our or maybe people are seeing our trailer on our Inside the Program series, our first short film that we're doing. We just dropped that tonight. The program we featured.
Plugging it early. I was gonna have you plug it at the end.
Well, sorry, you just kind of had to. We just kind of flowed to it. But the program we featured, Hart, they're one of these 6-3 teams that were left out. And I. Talking a little bit with Coach over the summer, right? It's just part of the schedule they're locked into is this D7 schedule, basically. And part of their other extenuating circumstances, they're in a co-op, which bumps them up a division to D5, right? And so there's all of these things where when you're weighting so hard towards divisions as part of or enrollment as part of your formula, there's people who get washed up in that process, right? And Hart's a good example of that. There's other teams. Sault Ste. Marie is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Right? They're playing up north. They're in the middle of, there's nobody around them really that's even playing 11-man football. They go down, they play a great Traverse City St. Francis team, but they're D7 and they get dinged for that, right? They get dinged for that in our current system. My model doesn't ding them for that, but long way of saying there's all these trade-offs and someone's going to get screwed somehow. I like our current system better than our last system. Is there a better system than this? Probably, but
One thing I would say is there a way, and I'm sure there is, to make the system say, hey, if the team's not over 500, they're not eligible, and we have to shift the points.
So here's the problem with that. And this is what I was going to bring up. I had already kind of mentioned I was going to bring up, one of my issues with people who have issues with this new system. When you go division by division and you look at the playoff points list, if you look at the rankings, like if you just go to the MHSAA.com and you go Division 1 through Division 8, look at the playoff points ranked by highest to lowest. There's not that many teams with winning records missing the playoffs. The problem is there's fewer and fewer and fewer 11-man football teams. So just naturally in each division, there's less and less teams in general for 11-man football. And they have to have some losing teams make the playoffs. If you go, I think there's at least 4 divisions that I can remember where every team with a winning record got in, or like maybe 1 5-4 team missed. You have to have losing teams. There's not enough teams left to fill out the field.
I mean, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. But you could also make sure every team that had at least a winning record gets in.
Right.
You're rewarding teams with 3 wins. There's teams that are 3-5 and 3-6 in the playoffs.
In some of those divisions, though, there's no other teams left. If you go to those, that's what I'm saying. If you go to the MHSAA.com, you go to the playoff point list and you look at the teams left out, some of those divisions, there was no winning teams left. So some losing teams have to get in. It happened in like 4 divisions.
D3, East GR 4-5, Brother Rice 3-5, Holly 4-5, Detroit Renaissance 4-5. You had Sault Ste. Marie at 6-3, Detroit Henry Ford at 5-4, Jackson Northwest at 5-4. I get their schedules don't match, but you also, from looking at the kids, like we're playing this for the kids, you just screwed 3 teams because their schedule sucks and that's where they're from, and you put Brother Rice in at 3 and 5. I get they play one of the top conferences in the state of Michigan easily, but 3 and 5 is dog shit.
So you're going to punish them because they play a tough schedule and they're better than the other teams? I mean, there's 2 avenues. Number one, Coach Heineke brought it up last week. Have week 9 just be everybody plays a playoff. Like, don't call it a playoff, but it's essentially a playoff. That solves all issues. But also,
I don't like everyone getting in though.
But
that's what you're doing with 3 and 5.
But
no, half the teams are still missing the playoffs.
Also, my take is it's similar to college football playoff. The good teams are already in. The teams that are borderline not going to make the playoffs or making the playoffs, chances are they're not even going to compete in a state championship. So really, the conversation is irrelevant, and it's more dictated towards the kids, which, in my opinion, you credit the kids that play the harder schedule than the kids that play cupcakes. I mean, it's not their fault they played a hard schedule.
Right, and I get Kory's argument because we in our conference at Grand Ledge and Holt in the Lansing area, we're Division I, and we get dinged. We get dinged, right? Because we don't play in a Division I conference. All of the teams we play are D2 and D3 in the Lansing area. So I get that regional, that geographic thing. Right? What are you going to make Sault Ste. Marie do? What do you make them do? Are you going to make them, drive really, really far? To play bigger teams? That's not really possible. So I don't know what the answer is for some of those teams that are landlocked, that don't have a choice, like Sault Ste. Marie, where they're going to play. Kory, did you have something you wanted to add with it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, to Brett's point, I get that some of these teams, regardless, they're not going to make an impact into the playoffs, but if a 3 and 5 Brother Rice teams, you think they're going to make more of an impact than a 6 and 3 team that at least won 6 games, regardless of the situation they're in? So I think either way,
I'd be willing to bet that Brother Rice or even Orchard Lake at 3 and 5 will make a run. I bet Orchard Lake gets the regionals or semis.
I agree. Our model would put Brother Rice in regionals.
I get that. It's just, I don't know. It's tough, man. I'm thinking about the kids. This isn't about a bunch of old men just to get off on playoff points. This is about kids. This is kids showing up and practicing and playing
the best teams in the playoffs. That's how it's got to be.
Well, yeah, the only thing I would say, Kory, is I don't think that there's any ill in
no, there's not.
There's no ill will here, or anyone trying to do something malicious. I think it's more of the fact that the problem we have is in the state of Michigan high school football playoffs is earned. Baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball, everyone gets in, right? Everyone gets in, gets to compete. But we have this football system where you have to earn it, right? And so how do you decide what's the best way to let people in? Like Cannon said, so you're not going to make everyone happy. I think this is a step in the right direction. And I don't necessarily disagree with you, Kory. I think maybe with the team, Cannon mentioned with Hart, Sault Ste. Marie, maybe there's got to be some tweaks, for some of these schools. That what is Sault Ste. Marie supposed to do? Or what is Hart supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go? I mean, to play bigger schools, sometimes if you're in a conference, you don't really have much of a choice. But I don't know. I still think the new playoff system is a step in the right direction. But at the end of the day, I would encourage anyone who's upset about the losing teams getting in, while there were a couple 6 and 3 teams left out, just take a minute, go to the MHSAA's website, look at the playoff point listing 1 through, highest to lowest. There's not that many winning teams that got left out. Some divisions, they had to let losing teams in. There was nobody else. I think there was at least 3, maybe even 4 divisions where all the winning teams got in. 5 wins or more all got in several divisions.
Yep,
yeah.
D4.
I think it happened in D7. I think D7, every winning team got in. I think it was. I think
D5, all but 1.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think D2 even. D1, I think in D1, 1, 5, and 4 team missed. I think maybe 2. So a lot in most of the divisions, all the winning teams are still getting in. It's just a few exceptions, but so.
I was going to say something, but I'll eat it. Go ahead.
We got Brett's iPhone. Brett, if anyone's watching and you're like, what the heck's going on with Brett here? Brett is having all kinds of connection issues. So Brett is now joining us. There he is.
Via
co-host
iPhone,
Brett
Bart
Johnson.
Johansson.
Via iPhone, Brett Johnson is here.
Brett, where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you visiting today from?
The confines of our office.
Listen to that wonderful iPhone audio. It's good enough to get through.
I
All
got
right.
my AirPods in, so we're good.
You don't sound, we've heard worse. We've had guests who sound worse. So that's not that bad. Next topic here. Again, we could talk about some of this stuff all night. So let's try and keep things moving along a little bit here. Next topic here. Cannon, what do you think in terms of the Goosepoop models? What are we thinking here on some of the toughest districts and easiest districts that we got right now? A few that kind of stand out.
Yeah, two I would call out right away are the MLK River Rouge district. I don't think that district in total is the toughest, but I think that the first round matchup of two teams our model would rate number 2 and number 3 respectively in the division. They're playing first round. That's just very unfortunate for everybody involved. Us as fans, them as teams, that sort of thing. So that's one I would call out. The other one I would call out is the D6 bracket. I think is very lopsided. So you have Constantine and West Catholic who are going to meet in the district, probably going to meet in the district finals. That's who we would say is the number one.
That's crazy.
number 1 and number 3 team. And then Clinton, I believe, is going to meet, should all of these teams win out, Clinton is 9-0. They're our number 2 team. I believe that will be a regional final. So I'm fairly sure. I'd have to go back and check, but it's either a regional final or a semifinal. So you have this very stacked bracket in D6 on one region. So those would be two peculiarities that the seeding system brought about this year that kind of lopsided the brackets.
Another one I noticed was West Bloomfield and Kaz Tech meeting in round 1. Kaz Tech has a deceiving 6-3 record, where they lost to MLK and beat MLK. Then they have a quadruple overtime loss by 2 points to Southfield A&T, and then a loss to a Midwest powerhouse in Carmel, Indiana, out of state. So their 6-3 record for Kaz Tech is a bit deceiving. And obviously West Bloomfield's, spoken for at 8-1, with their only loss to the runner up in D1 last year, Rochester Adams. So I think those are two. I think that's a big matchup in D1 first round to me.
Yeah, certainly gets a lot of fanfare because of the name brands around the programs. But I would push back on that a little bit and say that, I'm not really that upset about that. There's been a lot. I mean, the two matchups that I just pointed to are like a scale above
right.
Of that one. Our model thinks Kaz Tech's like the 12th best team in D1, right? So number 4 in West Bloomfield's the 4th best, right? Both teams have a loss. Kaz Tech has 3. You don't want to play first round, right? Win some more games, right? Like
right.
I don't think that's nearly as bad, So that's
you guys project West Bloomfield to go to the title too.
Yeah, and that that would be another peculiarity of the seeding. And again, I would put this huge asterisk on our projections in D1. And I've kind of gotten into a lot of social media fights about this, and I've apologized for it. And I've been open about it. Is everybody sees our rankings, our computer models rankings, and they get very upset that Belleville's not in there. And I think rightfully so. But I kind of come back at it as like, look, I'm not gonna our computer model rankings are literally a calculator that runs. I don't mess with them. We're going to revisit it at the end of the year once we decide whether they're any good or not. But one of the things they can't account for right now is the KLAA. Why can't they account for the KLAA? Because the KLAA
is not very good.
Well, we don't know, right? We don't know how good they are. It's because
they all play each other. Yeah.
Bubble, right? There's literally no way to test how good that league is. They could all be on another planet from us. They could all be, way worse than the rest of the state. We just don't know.
Right, because Belleville's 2 non-conference games are crossover with the other KLAA division. I think, isn't that what all of them do?
That's exactly right.
For all of them, they're crossover games.
It's a gigantic 18-team bubble. So you're looking at my model, which takes historical results from just this year, right? And rates every team. Well, the only historical results it's getting from Belleville are other KLAA teams. So it's just impossible to rate them, right? Thankfully, that will change this week, right? Belleville's playing out of the KLAA. There's several other KLAA teams playing out of the KLAA. We're going to get a great rating on just how good that league is this year or this week, and we'll be able to properly rate Belleville. Kory, to your point, that will probably switch how the project. If Belleville really is as good as how they've been performing this year, that will probably shoot Belleville over West Bloomfield, and who I would project to make the other side of the bracket.
Does your model just not account for them at all, or do they have them at a certain place right now?
They have them at number 10.
Okay.
That literally, you can think of it as like we have two huge bubbles, right? We have the rest of the state and we have the KLAA, right? We can rate within the bubbles, but the bubbles just randomly slide back and forth, right? Every week. So sometimes Belleville's a size 3, sometimes they're 10. And it's not, they're just bubbles sliding past each other.
Right. They play inside themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any districts in any one of the divisions that stick out to you as particularly weak, maybe contributing to an easy path to a title run, whether it's a district or a region overall, that a team in any division may have, like, I don't, not use the term cakewalk, but an easier route to the state championship.
A cakewalk.
Yeah, a cakewalk run to a state title game.
I haven't gone through the full path yet, but going back to that D6 bracket, I would say that definitely the 3 best teams are on one side. And so right now we would project Negaunee getting in. Negaunee's certainly a good team, being 9-0 and have some quality wins over Gladstone, who's 7-2. So, but they're just not going to have to play the top 3 teams until the finals. So they
do have Standish Sterling though on their side, as well as a Muskegon Catholic Central team. I don't know how highly your model rates those 2 teams, but those are 2 teams that I'm sure would compete with them.
Good teams, not as good as the other 3
right.
I mentioned. So that's the one that jumps out at me right now.
Right, you have the defending state champs and the runner-up on the same side, Lansing Catholic and Warren Michigan Collegiate on the other side, along with Clinton, Durand, Ovid Elsie, Constantine, Grand Rapids West Catholic. They're all on one side of the bracket.
Yeah, so those are great details, Vince, that I didn't even have.
Yeah.
It all kind of, I think the D6, that other side of the bracket, could be anybody. Another one that I wouldn't describe necessarily as cakewalk, but I would describe as very wide open, is the D3 bracket on the other side of Walled Lake Western, River Rouge, and King. I certainly think it'll be one of those 3 teams on that side. On the other side, there's some historically very good programs there. They're all rated within a point of each other by my model. We're saying Lowell, but it very well could be Zeeland West. It very well could be Muskegon. It very well could be, somebody else on that side. So
DeWitt's on that side too.
Yeah, DeWitt, Cedar might be up there. So
St. Joseph, who went to the semifinals last year in D3, is 8-1 this year, so they're on that side as well.
Right. So I think it's totally wide open on that side. I think it's exciting because I love a wide open bracket.
Sorry to interrupt. That quadrant of the D3 with Muskegon, East Grand Rapids, Zeeland West, Lowell, a lot of the perennial powers on the west side of the state. That's going to be a really fun corner to watch in D3.
Yeah, it's that's actually one of the tougher districts. A lot of people, I think, would say we don't believe you, Goosepoop. That's one of your toughest districts, but we have Lowell as the 4th best D3 team. We have Zeeland West is the 6th best, St. Joe's the 10th best, EGR the 8th best. So
Muskegon really threw a wrench in things beating Mona Shores last week too. That just hyped it, evened out that whole region.
Yeah. So I think those are the ones I'd point to.
Will be very interesting to see how some of that plays out. It's what's fun about high school playoffs, man. Makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, the one I would describe as the most locked in here is D7. I really don't see anybody but TCSF and Hudson. Now, of course, upsets happen. About 40 upsets happen a week during the regular season, or about 15% of the games. So it's very well that one of those teams could get knocked off. But that's the division with the most separation right now.
Hudson will likely second round be playing Lumen Christie, though, who's probably playing about as good as anybody right now. Lumen Christie on a 6-game winning streak. crushing the teams in that time.
Good point.
Bigger schools too. They 6 wins in a row over team D4, D3, D5 schools, and they're D7. So I think a lot of people should keep their eye on that Lumen Christi, see what happens. I bet they have a good shot at making a run to the D7 finals. But again, Hudson will be in their way because that Hudson team is also very, very good. Makes it fun. That's why this stuff is fun. So with that, I'm sure then that your answers kind of fall into some similar conversation here. What do you think is the toughest division? Getting to a state finals or a Final Four, which division do you think you got the most gauntlet, the best teams that you would have to get through in order to make it to a Final Four or the finals?
Yeah, so it's you have to look, the way you have to approach this question is, where is it the most crowded at the top?
Right.
I'm just flipping through things here. My suspicion is that I'm just looking at this. 3 may be the most crowded at the top.
A lot of talented teams.
So I guess would you should I answer the question of where is there the most parity, right? So it
right,
could be anybody, but that also means there's all of these coin flip games you have to win, or should I approach it as there's the least parity? So this is where nobody has any chance to win, and it's going to be that tough, right? You have to overcome that.
I think most parity becomes more interesting, right? When you got some of the best schools beating each other, or at least the toughest competition, right?
Got it. Okay. So I'm just confirming this. So just a second. I think the answer to this question is, the answer to this question right now per our model is D3. There are literally the top 6 teams are all within 5 points of each other. So that means basically it's a coin flip odds when these six teams, should any of these 6 teams meet. That's our 6 teams are Walled Lake Western, Rouge, King, Lowell, Muskegon, Zeeland West, and Kory's favorite, Brother Rice. So
America. I hope they lose in the first round. I hope they get blown out, and then I'm going to write
Kory, you'll
I'm
like
going to
this.
write you a handwritten letter.
Kory, you'll like this. You'll like this. They're a 3 seed in their district too. They're not even.
I know it's stupid, but I agree with Cannon. It looks like it's 1, 4, and 3 are the 3 toughest divisions.
Yeah, so that's that would probably be my answer there. As far as the inverse of that, the least parity, I would go back to D7. So I don't, I think, our model, and I kind of spit my drink out when I read this the first time when it spit out this, but our model thinks that Traverse City St. Francis is the 14th best overall in the state. They're just head and shoulders above the rest of D7. So
14th best team regardless of division.
Yes.
Wow.
So, I kind of have a hard time believing it, but again, it's just math, and the math's been pretty good this year. We picked last week 83%. So
jeez.
Yeah, I just kind of gotta roll with it at this point. We're never gonna know, right? So, but Traverse City St. Francis is about 11 points better than Hudson. They're closest.
They're 9 games. Only 3 of the teams they played had losing records. They beat 6 teams with winning records. A 7-2 team, a 6-3 Lumen Christi team, a 7-2 Kingsley team, a 6-3 Sault Ste. Marie, Lawton, who was in the D7 state championship last year, D8. Lawton, who is again 7-2, they beat them 42-7. And then another winning team in Detroit Country Day. I mean, just a very impressive schedule that none of them have even been close. They've beaten everyone by at least 3 scores. It's pretty incredible. 3 or 4 scores every single game at the least.
Cannon, how high of a win percentage do you think you could get your model to in 5 years?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Like, what's your goal? If you said like 90 in the next 5 years?
I'm really pleased with how it is right now. I think it's there's always, and this is good, right? Like if we were picking every game every week like this, why would we be even talking about the sport, right? Like it wouldn't be fun. We'd just be complaining that the same people always win, right? So 15, there's about 40 games a week that are upsets. I think I'm fine with that, so yeah.
So 83%?
Yeah.
That's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I think it might be time to talk about some projections here. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Otherwise, we can get into projections.
I got something to add quick while you're getting into the projections, Vince. So, Mr. Goosepoop, have you attended many, just out of curiosity, many high school games this fall? Or do you have any plans to attend any games this week?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go drive to Zealand West to watch Lowell play. Really gunning for the Arrows there.
The Red Raiders.
The Red Raiders. I went to.
Oh, my bad.
I went to Lowell FHC, so paid a visit to where Brett lives. That was a great game. Didn't come out the way we wanted it to. I went to, and I've been to two others. Well, I went to Hearts.
So a fair amount.
Yeah, Hearts home first game to kind of commemorate the ending of our filming, and then another game. I can't remember what the second game I went to was, but yeah. So fair. Yeah, about half.
Yeah.
I will be at Portland Olivet on Friday. Should be a good game. Good matchup.
I'll be at Ada Pumpkin Time on Friday.
You'll be at what?
A pumpkin festival.
Oh, sounds like fun.
How erotic.
Michigan State Saturday, though, so.
Good luck with that. All right, let's go ahead and get into high school football state final predictions. Try and get our nice, very pretty Google sheet table pulled up here. It's nothing too special. We're over here at Great Lakes State Football. We're not too fancy. We don't do anything too crazy. So if you don't like it, well, you know what? You can just deal with it. So it is what it is. All right. So we have a table. We're going to go through each one of the divisions. In this table currently, you will notice that for each one of the divisions, Brett, Kory, and I, before the season began, we did make our predictions preseason back in August for who we thought the state champions would be. I think what we can do for the three of us is we can go through and say if we want to keep that same team as our state champion projection, or if we would like to change it. And then we will take our final four teams and our champion. Goosepoop is going to use the computer model, I believe is what he said is the plan here for his projected final four and championship teams. D8 guys, we want to start at D8, small boys, and work our way up to the big dogs.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So Brett, you are first on the table. Do you want to go? Are you fine with just going in the order I have on there, or do we want to go a different order?
No, that's fine. We can
left
keep
to right?
the same order.
Go left to right there. All right. Brett, you want to kick us off here with Division 8?
Yeah, so be sensitive to time. I'm not going to go too in-depth on why I'm picking who. I'm just going to rattle off a couple names. So my Division 8 champion, I'm picking Reading. And my final four is Reading, Clarkston, Everest, Collegiate, Iron Mountain, and Fowler.
Clarkston, Everest. I'm going to have to abbreviate some of these. We'll adjust the table a little bit more later. We'll make it look pretty later.
We'll be all right.
We'll make it look pretty later. Brett, the only thing I want to ask you is you had Beale City as your champion before the season. Any thoughts on just changing from Beale City to Reading?
I had McBain.
Or McBain. I'm sorry. I have Beale City. My bad. You just not very pleased with McBain's record here.
Yeah, so McBain traditionally was a D7 team that got bumped down to D8. I have some family that lives in the area. McBain actually has a former Central Michigan Chippewa and NFL football player, Dan Bazine, from early or mid 2000s. So I've always thought that they've been a pretty quality program, but I think that they didn't have the season that I anticipated.
Kory?
All right, this is nerve-wracking. I am going to take
Better not pick wrong.
Ottawa Lake Whiteford, and I'll go for my final four. We're going to go Whiteford. We're going to go Frankfurt. We'll go Fowler. And we will go. Wow, that last region's tough. God, that region 4, the second side of the bracket is horrendous. Wow. We'll go Marine City, Cardinal Mooney.
Oh, Marine. Okay, got it.
That's one I should have mentioned. That is actually probably the worst region in the entire state.
Yeah, that
In terms of challenging.
the second one is terrible. 4-5 versus 4-5, and 5-4 versus 7-2, and then few.
All right, so that leaves me. Before the season, I had Beale City. I'm going to stick with Beale City as my champion. They went 9-0. We're in the state title last year. Lost a close one. So I'm going to go Beale City from Region 2. I think Region 1. I think I'm going to go with Iron Mountain here in Region 1. Region 3. Let's go with Ottawa Lake Whiteford. And then I will also go with Marine City Cardinal Mooney as well. So I'm going to go Beale City, Iron Mountain, Ottawa Lake Whiteford, and Marine City Cardinal Mooney. Gotta love the abbreviations there.
All the acronyms.
They're such long school names. I can't type them all out, or else this table will be huge. All right, Goosepoop, who you got for D8?
Whiteford as my champ, and then I've got Whiteford, Iron Mountain, Marine City Cardinal Mooney, and what was my last one here? I'm missing it. Oh, Ubley.
Ubley, who I believe was in the semifinals last year, lost a close one to Beale City, if I remember.
That's right.
I believe. And actually, I think they've been there before, haven't they? I think they've traditionally
been there twice.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Twice in my memory.
All right, moving up to Division 7 here. Brett, Kory, and I were almost unanimous before the season. Brett and Kory both picked PW, who is had a rough season. One of their I think their absolute worst season under Coach Miller, who's been there, I think, 10 or 11 years now. This is by far their worst season. They got into the playoffs at 5-4, actually hosting a playoff game at 5-4. I'm sure Kory loves that. And my pick was Jackson Lumen Christie before the season. Brett, what do you got?
I am not going to stick with Puama, Westphalia. Must have been a rough breeding grounds 18 years ago in PW. They got a solid squad, but not traditional what they used to be. So instead of PW, my champ is Traverse City St. Francis, and they will be accompanied by New Lothrop, Jackson Lumen Christie, and Detroit Central in the Final Four.
Detroit Central. Kory, who you got?
I am also going to change. I'm going to go with St. Francis. I'm going to trust our friend Goosepoop over here. I'm going to go New Lothrop.
Oh, I put NW here. My bad. I got to change that.
I'm going to go Lumen Christie and Detroit Central.
Oh, so original.
Nice headphones.
Remember, that Goosepoop did mention that this was the division with the least amount of parity. So you might not be a bad pick there. Did you say TC at Traverse City, Kory, for your champion?
Yeah.
I think I can spell it out. While I'm typing this, I am going to stick with Jackson. Actually, it's tough, man. I really want to stick with my champion, but
You should get bonus points if you stick with it.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe we do something where if I got these right, that get some extra, whatever we decide for this. Oh, it's tough though. Traverse City, St. Francis. I think I'm going to stick with Lumen Christi. They met earlier in the season, and they've already played once. Lumen Christi lost a close one. I'm going to stick with Lumen Christi for my champion. I am going to go Traverse City, St. Francis. I am also going to go. I'm going to go the same here. I just think Goosepoop's model. The guy knows what he's doing over here. I mean, very top-heavy division that doesn't have a lot of parity. I think these are the teams that run the table in their respective regions. Goosepoop, what do you got for us for Division 7?
I just want to confirm one last thing. Okay, so I've got TCSF as the champion. I think we've talked about that quite a bit here. So no surprises. New Lothrop, I think they'll play a semifinal against them. Like I said, I think Hudson will be on the other side. They'll be in a semifinal, and then Kory's going to love this one. I think the path is paved for SMCC to make this other semi, getting in with a losing record.
Oh, dear sweet Jesus.
They're gonna have a very close district final against Detroit Central, but I think beyond that, I think
I will Venmo you $4 for a beer if they make the semis.
deal.
He'll gladly accept. He accepts. All right, let's go to Division 6. This was one of the few that was not only not unanimous, but we all picked differently before the season. Brett picked Montague. Kory picked Warren Michigan Collegiate, who was the runner-up last year. I picked Lansing Catholic, who won it last year. Brett, D6.
West Catholic is going to be the champ at D6.
First year head coach too. That's risky business.
And we had him on the podcast, baby.
That's risky business, though.
And the rest of the Final Four is going to consist of Negaunee, Reed City, and Clinton.
Kory, you had Warren Michigan Collegiate. Are you going to change?
I'm keeping it, baby. I'm keeping it. I think their lengthy quarterback will win it for them. I'm going to go Warren Michigan Collegiate, Negaunee. We're going to go Muskegon Catholic Central, and Durand. Oh, wait. Sorry. Nope, just kidding. I can't do that. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong region. Let's go. Oh, this is tough. Madison Heights, Bishop Foley. No, they're in the same region. What region am I missing?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what.
Collegiate.
Did you pick two from the same region here?
Grand Rapids. Oh, did I pick Grand Rapids West Catholic yet? Oh, no. Okay,
no, you didn't.
Durand,
yeah.
Sorry, Durand was right then. Sorry,
you're having them beat? Ooh, okay. Interesting. I picked Lansing Catholic before the season began. I am going to change that. They did get into the playoffs at 4-5, but I think they are not a 4-5 team. Unfortunately, that's going to make a run. Picking the state champion, though, a little tough for this division, but I think I'm going to go with Kory. I watched Warren Michigan Collegiate last year lose a very tough one to Lansing Catholic. They went 8-1 with their only loss to a really tough Detroit Country Day team. So I am also going to go with Warren Michigan Collegiate. Region 1, I think I will also go Negaunee here. Region 2, I'm going to go with, this is a tough region, man.
Yeah, that one is
8-1 Reed City. Muskegon Catholic Central. So this is the one with Standish Sterling as well. Huh. Mm-hmm. And Millington's really good too. I think I'm going to have to go with Muskegon Catholic Central as well in this one. And then I will wrap things up with Grand Rapids West Catholic.
All right. I'm going to go West Catholic as my champion. I think they will play Clinton in the semi. On the other side will be a semi of Standish Sterling and Nagani.
Wow.
You said Grand Rapids West Catholic, and then you said Clinton.
Yep.
And then Standish Sterling and Nagani. I screwed up our table here big time.
Just hit, well, it's too late now. When you do that, Vince, if you just hit Control Z, it'll go right back.
Don't tell me my business.
You're now a Excel, so
yes,
trying to teach you things.
All right, now this thing is being screwy. Oh God. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so moving on to Division 5 here. Brett and I both picked Grand Rapids West Catholic. Kory picked Frankenmuth. Brett for Division 5. What you thinking here?
Oh, Division 5. I'm going to continue to stick with Grand Rapids West Catholic.
You mean Grand Rapids Catholic Central?
Or Catholic Central, yeah, sorry. And I believe that Muskegon Oak Ridge. Actually, no, I'm going to go Gladwin. I like the Flying G's. And Gladwin, Marine City, and Country Day. An ode to the private school.
Kory picked Frankenmuth. Are you sticking with
100
the best Christmas town in the world?
The Zenders fueled Frankenmuth Eagles will win it.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, Zenders chicken.
That's a pub the restaurant.
I'm gonna go Frankenmuth, Gladwin, GRCC. Actually, take back. I don't think GRCC. I think Portland.
Oh.
And
if you didn't pick them, your brother would be pretty mad at you.
I know. And then I think this bottom one is shitty. Yeah, I think Country Day. I don't think you can pick against the private school.
Can't pick against the private school. You heard it from Kory Schraben. All right. I had Grand Rapids Catholic Central as my champion going into this season. While they did drop a 2-point loss to Grand Rapids South Christian, they do not have to play Grand Rapids South Christian. They haven't lost in how many years? They've won how many state titles in a row, and I'm going to stick with GRCC here. I don't see them going away anytime soon. From Region 1, I think I also like Gladwin here. The Flying G's have had quite a season, so I think I'm going to.
So weird to say.
The Flying G's, see them rocking and rolling here. I think from Region 3, I think I'm going to go with Kory here. I think I'm going to go with Frankenmuth. And then in Region 4, which as Kory mentioned, that is a tough one. It is, however, hard, as he mentioned, to pick against some of the private schools. So I think I'm also going to have to go, particularly with who their 3 losses are to. So I think I'm also going to go with Country Day as well. Goosepoop.
So I am going with Frankenmuth as my champion.
Wow.
And my semi, they will be playing a private school in that region, but not the one you guys picked. I have Pontiac Notre Dame in the semi.
Interesting.
It's going to be a very close game against Country Day, so don't be surprised if Country Day wins it. But right now, we'd favor Notre Dame. On the other side, I think exactly what we all have: the Cougars of GRCC against the Flying G's.
I love that mascot. Did you guys see the image of it? It's literally a big blue G with wings on it. It's so great. It is so great.
You just know some farmer came up with that and was like, "This is going to be great."
How about the Kingsford Flivvers? We had to Google it. FLIVVER. Which, do you guys know what a flivver is?
Mm-mm.
It's a junk. It's like a junky car. Kingsford Flivvers.
You guys know what Gwyn is?
I saw a lot of the goofy ones on Sunday night. What was that one?
I think you pronounce it Model Towners, but it's literally 3 words all smashed together. Model T Owners.
Oh my goodness.
Oh jeez.
Model T owners. That is fun. There's some. I saw some goofy mascots on Sunday night. It's great. All right, moving to the top half here. Our final 4 divisions, getting to bigger schools. Brett, you went with Orchard Lake St. Mary's coming into the season. Kory and I forgot we did this. Remember before the season, we accidentally put Grand Rapids Unity Christian, but it was Hudsonville Unity Christian. We did that wrong before the season. So Kory and I originally did Hudsonville Unity Christian. Brett, Orchard Lake. What do you got here, Brett? You gonna stick with Orchard Lake?
I'm going to change it up. I think Orchard Lake's going to make the Final Four, but I think Grand Rapids South Christian is going to win D4. So my Final Four consisting of Olake, Grand Rapids South Christian, Edwardsburg, and Tecumseh.
This is a great division, man. There's some.
Oh, this one's
some high quality teams for sure.
This is tough. I am gonna go with Whitehall winning it all. I'm gonna go Whitehall. I'm gonna go on a whim here. Hastings, Goodrich,
Jeez.
and Redford Union.
You really went against the grain here.
I think there's going to be some upsets in D4. I think it's going to be a gauntlet.
I think D4 is a very interesting, interesting division.
Those teams tend to play up. Like they'll play a lot of D3, D2 schools. So
right,
we'll see what happens.
Right. I had Hudsonville Unity Christian. Hudsonville Unity Christian obviously did not. They're 5-4 against a tough record, but I don't see them winning or going to the state title. So I am also going to change mine. Oh, this is tough, man, because this region 1 that Hudsonville Unity Christian is in. There's some good teams here. Man, that South Christian team is good, but Whitehall is also. I think I'm going to go with Whitehall as my champion. Is that who I want to do, guys? I think
is that a question?
Division 4 is tough because then you got Tecumseh, who is also running the table on the other side. This is a tough, dude. This division's tough, man.
Vince, you're acting like you got 10 grand on the line.
We got some wings on the line. I don't know if it's for these picks though. The wings aren't for these picks.
Spicy.
I think I'm gonna match Kory here, and I think I'm gonna go with Whitehall as my champion. Whitehall has been very impressive. I think for Region 2, I think I am gonna go with Edwardsburg.
Ooh.
Instead of Hastings and Edwardsburg, I think play for that regional title, but I'm gonna go with Edwardsburg. More experience in the playoffs than Hastings. I think I'm going to go Orchard Lake as well. I think they play a heck of a schedule. And then in my Region 4, I think I'm going to go with Tecumseh, man. They've been pretty dang impressive this year. So I'm going to have to abbreviate. Yeah, let's change Tecumseh to TEC. Make our columns a little bit shorter here. Okay. Mr. Goosepoop. Mr. Poop.
My champ is Whitehall. I love this division because I in my opinion, Whitehall came out of nowhere.
That's very cool.
They've always been pretty good, but
Would you say that Tecumseh kind of came out of nowhere too? Who expected Tecumseh to do what they're doing?
I would agree as well. Our model just loves Whitehall. I would also say that so the other semi is going to be Edwardsburg, which is a great kind of, very similar to Lumen Christi. Had some losses early, but they've slowly crept back up and have been very impressive. In the bottom top semi there is going to be Freeland. I know they just took a tough loss last week, but we still like them. And then in that bottom one is, I think, the toughest one of all. There's like going to be several dogfight games. Right now, we would favor Riverview by a point. No, almost 2 points over Tecumseh. That could certainly narrow by the time we get there. But we're going to take Riverview. So in the other semi.
Okay. Interesting. A lot of different picks here from the four of us. Three picking the same state champion, but I feel like the semifinals in Division 4, I feel like it could be a multitude of teams. That Whitehall team, though, I feel like will have a dogfight. I don't think Brett is off by picking Grand Rapids South Christian. I think that's going to be a tough regional matchup for Whitehall, but see what happens. Division 3, we all picked MLK to start the season. Brett, are you sticking with MLK?
Onward. Yes. Are
we on a boat?
Yeah. So the other teams I'm going to pick are, this is a tough one. There's a lot of things that could happen. Probably I'm going to pick Zeeland. St. Joe. Picking St. Joe. I'm doing it. I'm picking St. Joe, and I'm picking Mount Pleasant, and I'm also picking. We'll go Mason. We'll go Lansing School. It's going to be a toss-up, though. It's really going to be a toss-up,
I like the Mason pick, Brett. I like the Mason pick.
Brett, Kory, you keeping with MLK?
Keep it with MLK. Fun fact, Mason is the only undefeated Division 3 school.
They're also the only greater Lansing school still undefeated, too, all of mid-Michigan.
Yeah. I'm going to go with MLK as my champion, so they'll obviously be in the Final Four. I'm going to go with Mount Pleasant. I am going to go with Muskegon. I think they're hot. And I am going to go with Mason.
Sorry, do you want to add something, Kory?
I was just going to say, I think that Muskegon win over Mona Shores last week was really big.
I am going to stick with MLK also as my champion from Region 1. You do have DeWitt and Mount Pleasant likely playing for a regional or a district championship. DeWitt pounded them last year, but oh boy, I don't know. Can they get them again? You know what? I think I am going to go with DeWitt. I think I'm going to go with DeWitt in Region 1. I feel like DeWitt has had a bye week, basically 2 weeks off to end the season. I think Zimmerman has them ready to make a playoff run again. I don't think they'll get to the state title, but I think they'll get beat by. I really want to go with Kory here because I think Muskegon's playing as good as anybody. Yeah, I'm going to go with Muskegon. I'm going to go with Muskegon getting revenge on DeWitt from 2 years ago in the semis. I'm going to go with Mason as well. I think they're playing just about as good as anybody, and I think they get beat by MLK for the second straight year in the semis. Goosepoop, who you got?
All right, so I've got my champion is Walled Lake Western.
Ooh, interesting.
It's very narrow between, like I said, D3 is going to be anybody's pick. It could be one of 6 teams. I really believe that. They're separated by about 5 points. So all 6 teams. My semis are Walled Lake Western, and I think it's Mason is on the bottom half there. And then my other semi here is Lowell and DeWitt. So yeah.
Interesting.
I could lose all 4 teams very
dude, this is another division that it's really interesting. Whoever wins this, I feel like is going to be battle tested.
It's a very thick.
Who did you said DeWitt, Lowell, Walled Lake Western, and did you say Mason?
Yep.
Mason.
It's very like prominent schools. You know what I mean? Like Walled Lake Western, always good. DeWitt, always good. Lowell has history. MLK obviously is the powerhouse they are. Muskegon has gone on runs. Like they're all great programs.
Yep.
All right. So with that, let's get into our last two divisions, getting into the big boys here. Brett for Division 2, Kory and I all had De La Salle. Unanimous pick. Brett, sticking with De La Salle?
Yep. Yeah, defending champs, running back. And I'm also picking Temperance Bedford, Dexter, and Mona.
Kory, you sticking with De La Salle?
I am sticking with De La Salle, correct. And
Does anyone else find it wild that De La Salle isn't the 1 seed in their district?
They're not even close on playoff points. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in playoff points.
That Brother Rice loss killed their playoff points.
Yeah. I am going to go.
So, Kory, you don't think the team that beat your state champ pick should make the playoffs?
I think shit happens, Brett.
What? Wait, what?
I said, Kory, you don't think the team that knocked off your state championship pick should make the playoffs?
So you're saying Michigan State should have been in the playoffs last year?
Oh,
They should have been. Hey, they were New Year's Six Bowl.
Wait, Brett, who are you
talking?
talking? Wait, which team are you talking about?
Brother Rice.
Brother Rice.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you're talking about.
If the New Year's Six bowl games were going to be a playoff like they're about to be, State would have been in the playoffs. So
Maybe.
take that one.
I mean, State also beat us when they had a 3-win season, so therefore they should have been in the playoffs that year too. So,
Well, Michigan only won 2 games that year, though.
All right, let's go Forest. I'm going to stick with Warren De La Salle. I'm going to go Forest Hill Central. I'm going to go Dexter. And I am going to go. Yikes. Let's do Livonia Franklin.
All right. I picked De La Salle to start the season. I'm also going to continue to stick with De La Salle as the state champ. I don't see anyone at this point really stopping them. Region 1, I think I'm going to go with Forest Hill Central since they finished the year undefeated in a pretty solid conference. I think in Region 2, I'm also going to go with Dexter. I think they're playing just as well as anyone right now. And then in Region 3, I think this is the toughest one to pick from. Oh, I like the Livonia Franklin pick, but that KLAA, as Goosepoop mentioned, that KLAA, man, it's hard to know how good they really are. I think I'm going to go with Livonia Franklin as well from that.
I think that's a sneaky good pick.
Goosepoop, who you got?
I'm not going to pick Franklin because I'm just sticking with what my model's spitting out, and they don't like it. But I think Franklin has the high probability to shoot up the rankings next week. So I'm just going to caveat that. My pick here is DLS. I think this is the second least parity division. They're about 11 points better than FHC, who's our number 2 pick. So we're going to take FHC and Dexter in the other semi. I think that'll be a very fun game.
Yeah,
that's the one that happens. One of the best offenses against, probably the second best defense in the state, I would say. And then the other semi is a little bit difficult to pick. I think that's where I think the Franklin pick is a good one, but our model doesn't like Franklin right now. We like South Lyon.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
South Lyon.
Boy, interesante.
Wait, South Lyon's in the same district as Dexter, though.
Are they really?
South Lyon East are in the other side of the Dexter Milford district.
Oh, I misread that.
This is the one with all the Birmingham teams. It's got Birmingham Seahome, Birmingham Groves.
I don't know this one. I mean, Franklin probably would be my if I was lying about what my model was saying. Wow, this is really tough because these teams are way down there. Bedford would be
Temperance, Bedford.
Yeah.
Brett, maybe you're right. Goosepoop got your back there with that pick.
Shout out Celine.
All right. Getting into the last one. Speaking of Celine, that was Brett's preseason Division I state champ. Brett, are you sticking with Celine as the D1 state champs?
That is no longer Brett's pick.
What's your pick?
My heart wants to go with Grand Ledge, but my mind is telling me not to.
Oh.
My pick is I think that Detroit Catholic Central is going to win the state championship.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
And I think they're going to be playing West Bloomfield in the Final Four. And then on the other side, it's going to be a hefty, burly matchup between Davison and the Rams of Rockford.
Interesting Final Four here. Okay.
I like that.
Not a Belleville fan, huh?
I think Belleville is going to get punched in the mouth by DCC. I really do.
Kory, what do you got?
I think Belleville's going to win it all.
So Kory had Rochester Adams, who was the runner-up last year, so he is changing to Belleville.
Correct.
What do you got?
All right, I'm going to go Rockford, Davison. And then I am going to go... Actually, I lied. I'm going to go Rockford, Rochester, Adams. And I am going to go Belleville, West Bloomfield for that sacred semifinal matchup that we've seen a few years in a row now.
All right, I'm also not going to pick or change my pick. I guess you guys both changed your pick. I had Belleville before the season. I picked Belleville as the state champ, defending state champs. Goosepoop was talking about how tough it is to know how good they really are because of the KLAA with those two West and East divisions playing each other exclusively all season long. Even in their non-conference games, they do crossover matchups. It is hard to know, but man, they have a lot of talent, and I just don't see anyone really challenging them unless they make some mistakes and shoot themselves in the foot after what they did to Rochester Adams last year, and they brought a lot of people back. From Region 1, I'm going to go with Grand Ledge. I'm going to back my boys in blue and gold, baby. I feel a run in this group, and I don't think it's out of the possibility that they keep things rolling that they're going with right now. No one's going to pick them, but I'm going to pick them. I'm picking.
I wanted to, and you laughed at me.
I laughed because I liked how you led with that. I like how you led with it.
I can't laugh at Vince because that's a good pick for him.
What am I going to say? I believe in him,
Exactly.
baby. I believe it that we can make a run.
So you believe that you're good, but not state championship good.
I think that it's going to be tough to match up with some of these bigger schools in terms of depth. We don't match up well with teams like Davison, who's going to be my Region 2 pick. I'd like to think that we could, go all the way, but we would have our work cut out for us. Davison, I think, is very good, playing about as well as anybody right now. I think that'll be an interesting district final matchup with Clarkston. Davison beat Clarkston week 1 by 1 touchdown, so I'll be curious to see if Davison can do it again. Region 3, obviously Belleville, who is my state champion pick, and then out of Region 4, which has the district of West Bloomfield, Cas Tech, and Southfield A&T. Quite the district, and then the other side of that region is the Mac Red district with 9-0 Macomb, Dakota, 6-3 Utica Eisenhower, and then you got Romeo and Chip Valley. I think I'm going to go with Macomb, Dakota. It's a tough region they're coming out of, but I think Macomb, Dakota is up for the challenge. I think they're gonna continue their 9-0 streak here and take it right into the semifinals. They'll be matched up with a tough Belleville team. They'll come semis. Goosepoop, who you got?
So I think, I certainly think Belleville's a very good team. But again, I'm just riding with the model right now, and the model does not know how to rate KLAA. So at this point. So I'm going as my champion is
Rockford Rams.
Davison in a semi. And they are playing on the other side will be DCC and West Bloomfield.
All right. That is our, I had made a joke at one point before we started recording. It wasn't going to take us 40 minutes. It took us just over 40 minutes to get the state title picks. So we're going to have to talk about this when we're done recording here, but it sounds like this might be a separate episode that we put out by the time it's said and done. Those are our picks, though, going into state finals, just going into the playoffs here. Playoffs start on Friday this weekend. So these are our picks for the Final Four and state champions in all 8 11-man divisions. With that, guys, any last words here before we wrap things up with Goosepoop?
Yeah, real quick, if you made it through that whole 40 minutes on the podcast, please DM us and we'll send you $5. We love you.
Hey, that wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't.
If you like high school football, I'm sure you enjoyed listening. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, Cannon, thanks for coming on. Before we let you go here, do you want to plug really quick? We kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but Cannon and Goosepoop, he and his brother have a pretty exciting project coming out. You want to talk about it, preview it here?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it earlier in the episode, but my brother's a aspiring videographer. He's partner in Goosepoop. You don't see him on the podcast, but he wanted to venture into our first short film. So this summer we spent following around a football team who I think has a pretty special story to tell. The Heart Pirates. Not a lot of people know about them. A pretty small school up north of Muskegon. But we just dropped the trailer tonight. Full video is coming out Sunday. It's only about 13, 15 minutes long. So we'd love for you to check it out. And stay tuned.
It's very exciting. I think that's a cool project, man. I'm excited to watch it. Looking forward to checking it out. So we will definitely, we just before we start recording here, if you follow us on Twitter, we retweeted the trailer. So obviously check out Goosepoop's social media links in the description below, whether you're listening on audio or watching the video episode of the podcast. We will definitely be sharing it out once it drops on Sunday. Looking forward to checking that out. And with that, Cannon, Mr. Goosepoop, thanks for joining us. Definitely we'll have you on again soon. Gonna have to talk about probably have to talk about state finals here pretty soon. It'll come up quick.
I think so.
Please stay on, continue listening as we wrap up the rest of this episode. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation there with Mr. Goosepoop, aka Cannon Dean. Cannon, we really appreciate you coming on such short notice. Obviously, as I mentioned, please check out the links in the description. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify, check out the links for Cannon's Twitter, for Goosepoop's Twitter, Instagram account. Check out his newsletter on his website. Subscribe to his newsletter, and then stay tuned for his documentary that him and his brother are doing on Heart Pirates on their football program. Very excited to check that out on YouTube very soon here. With that, we are actually going to wrap the episode up. Coming into the conversation for the preview of the Michigan high school football playoff season here. We weren't really sure how long it was going to take. It ended up being this episode, by the time it's said and done, is probably going to be at least an hour long once it's all edited together and up. So we just decided to make this all its own episode. So we apologize if you're looking forward to our high school football games of the week and our college games of the week and our discussion of those games from last week. We are going to do those picks off air, and we will post the graphics online. Obviously, the Michigan State games this weekend. So if you're looking forward to a preview for that, it's not really a game we're super excited to talk about, with Michigan State not being great this year. We're just trying to save more time for Michigan high school football talk, but we'll be back next week with another episode. Stay tuned. It looks like we will be having on Alma's head football coach, Coach Couch. Will be on with us, I believe, Kory, right, next week. is the episode that we're going to have Alma's head football coach on.
Correct. Yep.
So we will be definitely doing college football talk next week when we have him on. We'll talk all levels of football in the state of Michigan for college football. So we will save our recommendation of the week for next week as well. And with that, we will wrap things up. Please check us out on Twitter at GLSF Ball. Check us out on Instagram at Great Lake State Football. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Great Lake State Football. Add us on Apple and Spotify, also Great Lake State Football. I'm Vince, episode 34, Great Lake State Football. Co-hosts Brett and Kory. Go Green. Go Chargers.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. Go Lions.
Lions suck.